and welcome to the Loot Drop. Today we're talking Cult of the Lamb's big win, a bunch of barely news, but first our big story. Video games are legitimate now. So much so that the video game soundtracks are a category in the Grammys. That's a pretty massive deal. Not specifically the Grammys as an award show, but how people in industries adjacent to video games are finally turning their heads and realizing that gaming's billion-dollar industry is worth exploring and celebrating. Gaming's not exactly as universal as, say, music. Like, if you went up to someone and asked them if they like video games, they might be like, yeah, nah, not really. But if you went up to someone and asked them, do you like music? No one's gonna be like, yeah, nah, not really. You're more likely to just straight up ask, what kind of music do you like? I think there's been a long ingrained stigma attached to video games and it's finally being eroded. You want some stats? According to the 2020 Digital Australia report by the Interactive Games and Entertainment Association, 91% of Australian households own a video game device. That's amazing, 91%? So to see video games represented in such a universally enjoyed area of interest such as music is ripper. To be perfectly honest, when they announced video game soundtracks as a new category, I thought it already was one. Like, they've been absolutely masterful soundtracks in video games. I got a mate that plays the Animal Crossing New Horizons soundtrack while she studies. The thing is, she's never played an Animal Crossing game. Too busy studying, she says. Nerd. Just kidding. I love chucking on the Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country soundtrack while I'm working. I put it on while I was writing this script. What next though? You know what would be cool? If video games started making their way into curriculums for schools and universities, I'm sure they already do that, but imagine like an acting class where you got to do the scene in God of War 2018 where Atreus kills his first deer. Wouldn't that be sick? If I was an acting teacher, I'd trick my students into acting out cutscenes from video games. That'd rule. I think we all just need to normalize gaming a bit more. The stats show that an incredible amount of people play video games, but I think people are still afraid to confess it. Video games are kind of a guilty pleasure that people will eventually admit to playing, but not outright in case they get judged. The Grammys are a positive step forward into normalizing conversations about gaming. I can't wait to share my favorite gaming soundtrack and smugly say, you know, that's a Grammy award-winning soundtrack. Shove that in your ear. Now, what's your favorite video game soundtrack? Let me know in the comments. Speaking of award ceremonies, Cult of the Lamb won Best Indie Game at the Golden Joystick Awards, and we at ABC Gamer are stoked. Woo! Ow! Cult of the Lamb was nominated alongside Tunic, Rollerdrome, Dwarf Romantic, Neon White, and Teardown. And that is a lofty list of nominees. Now, I have to say it again. Awards and award ceremonies aren't the be-all and end-all of achievements. There are heaps of games out there that haven't won any awards or nominations that definitely deserve acclaim. But to see an Aussie indie-developed title win is still extremely inspiring. Wayward Strands, another Aussie-made game, got a nomination for Best Storytelling alongside Immortality, Return to Monkey Island, Horizon Forbidden West, Norco, and I Was a Teenager Exocolonist. Just like how video game soundtracks seem to be getting more attention from the general public, Australian video games are getting more attention from the gaming public. We did coverage of Cult of the Lamb sweeping the Australian Game Dev Awards, and I remember seeing heaps of comments online that were shocked to find out that it was made in Australia. Yeah. We've been hitting home runs for a while now. The fact of the matter is, I don't think video games get as much support and attention here in Australia as they do in other countries, so it's important to celebrate every win we can. I would love for the video game industry and community here in Australia to absolutely explode to the point where people aren't surprised to hear Aussie devs and games win awards. Yeah. 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 Right, guys? Yeah. Now it's time for my favorite segment where we talk about news too small to elaborate on but too big to ignore. It's barely news. The second Mario movie trailer came out and he said all of his classic catchphrases except for Mamma Mia. They must be saving it for the third trailer. Oh, wahoo! That's Mario for barely news. The Splinter Cell remake is officially announced. Sorry, the Splinter Cell BBC radio drama remake. Yeah, Splinter Cell is going to be adapted into a radio drama and will air on BBC Radio. Maybe one of the B's in BBC stands for Barely News. Barely News Broadcasting. God of War Ragnarok sold 5.1 million copies in its debut week and has become Sony's fastest selling first-party launch game.
Boiling news.
There's boiling news. We did that though. Netflix advertised for a game director position for a brand new AAA PC game for their LA studio. Staring news. Because I want a stairwell, see? Look. I'm coming. Oh. That's the loot drop. Coming out this week is Hello Neighbor 2 on Xbox and PC and Dragon Quest Treasures on the Switch. We're wrapping up on 2022 and we're gonna do a massive Game of the Year episode. So get into the ABC Gamer community section and vote. Let your vote be known, comment, let us know what you think should win Game of the Year. Bye!